Hello and welcome to this very special show. We are breaking format and coming to you from an occasion which marks the 25 years of Percept media in the country, and the focus today on the media front is on the consumer. We are calling the topic Catch Me If You Can. It does sound like a James Bond movie. That's what all our panelists think, without any suspense or thriller. The question is, it's a big mystery to catch the consumer in today's day and age. And to take us through the next 45 minutes is a very special panel. If I can introduce once again Dr. Bhaskar Das with Bennett and Coleman. Thanks so much for joining us. We have Amit Madhan from ICICI Lombard, LV Krishnan, familiar in the TV space and the head of TAM. We also have with us Prashant Panday, CEO of Entertainment Network. We have Sandip Tarkas from Future and Tarun Katial from Big 92.7. And a fantastic audience as well. Why I said we talked about a James Bond movie is because the name does sound like that, and the consumer is becoming more and more elusive. Bhaskar, it is becoming difficult, is it? They're always pushing you to the limits to figure out how to design media content and how to keep them in the loop of things that is going on.
Thanks, Shivnath. It's not a question of being difficult. I think the marketeers are becoming difficult because they're incumbents, so can't lose control. The new format is, I think, has become easier. Just listen to the customer. Basics of marketing. If you are fundamentally focused on your customer, in case of media, of course, it may be viewers, it may be listeners, it may be readers, and of course there are advertisers. But I think fundamentally, if that focus is there, everything else will follow. So I don't think it's difficult. The difficulty is the imaginative power part of it.
And is that becoming difficult, Tarun Katial? The reason why I said it's difficult is not because we can't solve the problem, is because it's always in a state of flux. So if we break it down into 4 different areas, the message, the messenger, the content, as well as the customer finally, is it because the catchment area is too much in a flux? They come in and they go too fast?
I don't think they come in and go too fast, but they have huge expectations of you. So I think the expectation of the consumer in whichever segment he may be now is kind of boundless. And as we were discussing in the past, their relationships are really emotionless. So, they're ready to easy to pick a brand and then discard it as quickly to move on to the next, rather than to hold on to what they've been consuming over a period of time. And that is the marketer's challenge. So as Bhaskar said, if you're listening, you would know that you're going out of fashion. But if you're not, then you'll go out of fashion.
But Bhaskar also said that the imaginative power is a problem. Prashant, just so that we cover the media aspect of it first, if the imaginative power is a problem and the emotions have been snapped, how do you put your finger on that person then?
No, I think we should stick to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are that the society has evolved tremendously, and somehow media has not kept pace with it. That's the reality. Now, I wouldn't.
You admit that? Do you admit that?
Totally. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that it's entirely media's fault or its lack of imagination on part of the media industry. I think this country is still beset with various infrastructural problems. You look at any media industry. You look at television, we have barely 15 or 20% homes which can access more than one television set at home. So the lowest common denominator gets consumed. You look at radio, you have hardly any frequencies. Even in the print business, for instance, distribution is a serious issue. Education, literacy is a serious. So there are all kinds of things. So in a situation of this type, what happens is that consumers who have evolved, media is not able to keep pace with it. And let me give an example of what I mean. I think the way consumers think today, the way the society thinks today, they want to consume things when they want to consume it. They don't want to consume things at the time when you're dishing it out to them. So look at the success of the DTH businesses where you're able to record television content. And I find increasingly number of friends of mine who are not watching shows when they are actually being telecast, but at convenience at a later point in time. So coming to the message part of it, I think you want to reach out to your consumers. You have to figure out a way to deliver it to them at a time when they want to consume it.
So all you're saying is it has to be according to the convenience of the consumer. But is it only that, LV? And the reason why I'm not coming to the 2 companies right now is because for them the sub-segment is much more well-defined, much more niche. What I'm trying to ask is, he said emotions have been snapped. He's saying there's a lack of imaginative power, if at all. He's saying the infrastructure does not exist. How complicated it is going to remain before it actually becomes simpler to allow the medium and the message to go together?
Well, Bhaskar talked about the fact that people are listening, actually. I agree to a certain extent the fact that today media companies are listening to consumers. But is listening leading to action? Well, that's a question mark, actually.
Why isn't it leading to action?
The fact is, today, 25% of consumers are in the below 25 age group segment in a population. But when you look at the amount of pickup that is happening on the younger age group segment of the newspaper in the morning side, actually, it's declining. The readership is declining. On the television side, the viewership is getting very, very fragile in nature. I think Tarun rightly pointed out, saying it's becoming emotionless attachment. That's a nice word, because the fact is, these guys are actually coming onto television and surfing across. If I look at the total number of homes where surfing is highest, all that incidences are happening from homes where the incidence of youth presence is there in that particular home. So maximum percentage of surfing and television is happening from homes where youth presence is higher.
But does that mean the consumption of traditional media is going down in those households? Is that what you're observing?
It's the time spent that is going down, actually. They are still there with, that medium, but they are not engaging themselves with that medium in terms of the time spent. For example, look at some of the day parts where we measure radio and television. There is a coincidental viewing happening on television and a coincidental listening happening on radio. In other words, there's a multitasking of two different medium consumption happening at the same time. Now, so what does that mean actually from a media owner perspective in nature? Does that mean the fact that do I need to serve content in a different form to reach out to him? For example, the newspaper. Is there an opportunity for newspapers to do talking newspaper on mobile, actually? Instead of a reading newspaper, you just dial in a number and it tells you the news, the top line stories of the news on a mobile itself.
Bhaskar is already getting agitated to have a go at it. I will ask you whether that will really challenge the traditional form, but hold your thought and let your thoughts mature. Let me come to the company perspective. And Amit, here they are all talking about a wide range of consumers, or the consumer of the media here. From a product perspective, when you look at that, it's a smaller subset, but do these social factors matter? Are you young? Are you tech savvy? Do you have access to technology? Do these things matter to you more than the medium or the content?
See, as a company, definitely it matters, because it totally depends on which sector you are in. Like ICICI Lombard.com, which I am handling. So obviously, I will be catering to that niche segment, which is tech savvy. Not necessarily too much of tech savvy, but he should be able to buy online or do some transactions online. So obviously, he should be having a credit card or should understand net banking. So to that aspect, obviously. But what I'm getting to here and what it is leading to is the actually convergence. What is happening is you have TV, you have radio, you have internet. So, and the customer is not, and customer is actually agnostic to the various medias. He's actually online and offline at the same time. He's watching TV, he's working and in his office, and he's listening to some radio also. At the same time, he's surfing also. So catch me if you can. I think it is actually a big challenge for the marketeer to understand what the customer's frame of mind at that point when he's doing a certain task.
It is not just the convenience that Prashant was talking about. Is it actually what they are doing at that point in time which will appeal to them more?